Welcome to the Cosmic Buster. My name is Bobby Cody. Dune, our future foretold through science fiction. For those who don't know, Dune is one of the most popular and successful and probably the best science fiction series of books ever written. It may not be the most famous. You have Star Wars. Star Wars is a whole series of books and movies, as most people are aware. Isaac Asimov has done, an entire universe that includes, gosh, I don't know how many books, probably about 40 or 50 books. Covers thousands of years. It's an entire universe. It starts with our near future, iRobot, and goes way into tens of thousands of years into the future from one galactic empire, and then that galactic empire collapses, and then a second galactic empire emerges after thousands of years of this first galactic empire collapsing, and then the second galactic empire. So there's a whole bunch of history of science fiction universes and authors creating a whole big universe, a consistent universe, and a chronology, and all these books go through this chronology of universes. That's what Frank Hebert and his son, who picked up his universe and continued writing his father's books and expanding on his father's universe based on his father's notes. There's no question. I've read every Isaac Asimov book that ever existed. I've read so many science fiction books throughout my life. It's incredible. And in my opinion, there's no doubt about it. There is no universe created that is more intense, more real life, and has more to say to the human condition than the Dune series of not just books, but the whole universe that his son picked up on, Frank Hebert, and continued to write about. And I want to talk about why that's so important and how it has so much to do with what we are entering now as a human species and what our future may hold. I want to talk about that. First, I'm going to lay out essentially the Dune universe. Most people are familiar with Dune, either the book or the movie. There's been a couple movies already for Dune, and there's one coming out now. The new director is Denis Villeneuve, and his choice was, with the Dune book, the two past movies that have been made on the Dune book, the one book called Dune, they made one movie out of the one book Dune. Denis Villeneuve chose, and I hope I'm pronouncing the director's name right, he chose to split the Dune book up into two movies, a very wise choice, because it's such an intense book and there's so much information in it that people don't know what you're talking about without a little bit of background. So really, to split it up into two movies is I think it's going to be much more successful, hopefully, than the past movies have been. Neither of the movies have been able to do the book's justice, or the book justice, because this is one Dune book we're talking about. But as I stated, there's a whole bunch of Dune books, and it's an entire universe. There's over 30 books written in this Dune universe, and the book Dune itself takes place thousands of years in our future. It's like tens of thousands of years in our future. But there are other books that are our near future, relatively close. And those books were written by Brian Hebert, Frank Hebert's son, based on his father's notes. Those books are, I think it's the Butlerian Jihad is the first one. I can't remember the other two. I'm going to leave a link down below to dunenovels.com so you can take a look. Also, as a matter of fact, maybe I'll leave in the description a list of all the books in chronological order too, so you can take a look at them. But what these first books that take place in our near future, just like now or maybe a few years in our future, what they cover are essentially it's called the Butlerian Jihad is the first book. Is that essentially what happens is that humanity eventually has the ability to merge itself with machines. And certain programmers, computer programmers on Earth, take this technology and knowledge and use it to essentially create, I believe they're called Cymex. They merge themselves with machines. And once they do that, they're able to just take over the Earth. So this small number of computer programmers essentially take over the entire planet Earth based on their ability to merge their bodies with technology. They become huge, giant robots, and their brain controls the robots, and they can just smash people and destroy things and swat planes out of the air, etc. But there's also an artificial intelligence, a computer that's called Omnius. And this computer, Omnius, which is an artificial intelligence, it wants to wipe out humanity, but it doesn't have the capacity to do so on its own. So it utilizes these Cymex, these computer programmers that merge themselves with technology and robots and machines. Omnius has he uses these Cymex to control humanity. So they Omnius and these Cymex have a kind of alliance where they don't trust each other, but they have this alliance because they have to, and they're out to essentially destroy humankind or control humankind. Great series of books, of highly suggested. But that's the future that we face at this point. And he also uses a pandemic to try to wipe out humanity. Not surprisingly. I share this because, number one, the pandemic that we're going through now, in my opinion, you might be surprised by the origins of the pandemic. Yes, based on my observation, what I've seen, I don't think there's little doubt that it was accidentally released from the lab. There's abundance of evidence in that regard. Scientists who have taken a look at the COVID virus, and they take a look at it and they see these little notches in the virus. These are standardized notches that are used in gain-of-function research. And they say, oh yeah, look, boom, 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 boom. That's not natural. Those are standardized notches that are used in all these different viruses that are used in research. That's one of the things that has not been shared with you. The reason I say this is because it kind of aligns with the Dune books in the pandemic, and right now we're already merging with machines, and it really is a potential danger to our future. All the potential horrors that could come out of this, many of them are detailed in these Dune series of books. So ultimately, I don't want to give away the books and what happens, But essentially, I mean, obviously, we know because the series continues way into the future. Ultimately, humanity does defeat the Cymex and Omnius, this artificial intelligence that was trying to wipe out humankind. And so once you get to this Dune series, they talk about how you can't make a machine that mimics the human mind or a computer. The reason they no longer allow that is because of Omnius. They've already seen what can happen when artificial intelligence is given is created. It will attempt to take over humanity and destroy. So in the Dune books, where you'll see that, and in the Dune movie, you'll see that they talk about how never make a computer in the mimic that mimics the human mind. Never, don't make thinking computers. We are starting to, as I stated, we're starting to merge right now. We already have the ability to, place sensors on our scalp and control things with our mind and control computer readouts and video games they have now. There's all of these type of merging of humanity and machines. Very dangerous. If you want to see some of the dangers that we could potentially face, I highly suggest these series of books that you read through the entire universe. We have that problem that we have to navigate this very, very intelligently. And I hate to say it, but the way we've navigated this entire pandemic and everything that's been going on in the past year doesn't bode very well for the way we're going to handle much more dangerous situations we may face in the future. So I would highly suggest to anybody who's interested, read through these books. It's great. If you decide to read them, I'd highly suggest reading through the whole Chronological Order. Great books. One of the best books, my favorite book ever of all time, is, I think it's the fourth or fifth book in the Dune series. Okay, it's like the 20th or the 24th book in the whole universe. It's called God, Emperor of Dune. It really changed my life in the way that I was able to perceive history. The God, Emperor of Dune book is where essentially Leto, who is the protagonist in Dune, his name is Paul Atreides. He refuses to become the Kwisatz Haderach because he knows what will happen, and they don't tell you what will happen in the Dune book. But later on, his son Leto agrees to become the Kwisatz Haderach. The Kwisatz Haderach is like a messiah, essentially. And you find out why Paul refused to become the Kwisatz Haderach or Messiah when Leto chooses to become it, because Leto then transforms into a worm. He transforms into like a sandworm from the planet Dune. And he has the face, he still has his face, but the rest of his body is this huge, massive worm that's just gigantic. And that's essentially why Paul refused to become the Kwisatz Haderach, the Messiah. He didn't want to go through that transformation and live for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years. I don't want to give away too much else. Great series of books. Highly suggest that you watch them. But I wanted to just point them out because some of our future leaders should read these books as a warning for the dangers of what we face in the future as a species. Thanks for watching, everybody. I appreciate it. PayPal's down below if you like. I'd appreciate it if you could help me keep this going, because I'm running out of resources to continue creating my videos. Other than that, if you can't or don't want to help me out with the PayPal, please like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. I hope I have another video for you soon. Thanks for watching, everyone.